Hey, welcome back. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. It is a terrific Tuesday. It's so nice we do it twice, and I do it twice with two Trump pens. These things are hard to hold on to because everybody that comes in here wants to steal one of my pens, so I got them hidden all over the studio.
Why not give him one? I mean, we don't pay guests or anything. You know, it's been a while since we even offered them a cocktail or a drink of alcohol. Why not give them as like a souvenir of being on the show a Trump pen?
It would be nice if some sponsor wanted to subsidize the. I mean, these pens are $6.99. They don't come cheap. They're not like those $1 Bics out there. These are real Trump pens. This thing talks.
Don't touch the hair.
See what I'm saying? I mean, it's got.
I'm gonna build a wall.
It's got like 10 different things programmed in there also. So we can't just give these away like hotcakes.
Fair enough. All right, John, there is some breaking news that I want to bring to your folks' attention. And I know there's some other Bloomberg video you wanted to highlight. But, as New Hampshire is tonight, the first polls are going to close around 7 p.m. tonight. This is the first in the nation primary, and all indications are it will not be as much of a disaster as the Iowa caucus. Now, over the weekend, the chairman of the DNC, Tom Perez, who a lot of people say should go, and there are a lot of people calling for his resignation, he said he wants a full recanvass of all the Iowa results. The Iowa chairperson says, no, we're not going to do it because you asked, Mr. Chairman. We're only going to do it if the candidates ask. So now, Bernie Sanders was the first candidate yesterday to call for a recanvassing. Now, the other candidate that was near the top in Iowa, Pete Buttigieg, he's calling as well today for a recanvassing of the vote in Iowa.
Well, now that they got, all the Hillary folks and the Buttigieg folks who are all partnered up, now that they got all the data recalculated and rejiggered, so they rigged it up good. Now, of course, Mayor Pete wants a recount. But wasn't it odd, for those of you watching at home, that Troy Price, the state Democratic Party chairman for Iowa, could not announce a winner on the night of the Iowa caucuses, but Pete Buttigieg, his campaign manager, senior strategist Michael Hale, is married to Tara McGowan, the founder of the Shadow app. Mayor Pete was able to go on TV and say, I won. See you over in New Hampshire. Isn't it odd? Frank, don't you find that a little strange?
I do find it a bit odd.
I know you hate my conspiracies, but is that strange?
No. I think that's very shady.
And doesn't it also seem like a lack of subject matter expertise for Tom Perez to be calling for a recount when he should know that he has no standing to ask for a recount?
That's fair.
So why is Tom Perez, jumping up and down? That's like, he knows that it doesn't matter.
What is this Bloomberg video you want to show us?
So, in a continuing effort to try to fend off the establishment left, who is trying to fix the election already so that Bernie doesn't win. They're with anyone but Bernie. And it seems right now they've got it down to two contenders, Mayor Pete and Mayor Mike. The two diminutive dynamos seem to be the favorites. And I just want to remind people, as Mike Bloomberg, they keep hiding behind the curtain like the Wizard of Oz guy. He said a lot of crazy things that just don't mesh up with Democrats. Played one a little earlier, how he said, when I was mayor, I put all the cops into minority neighborhoods because that's where all the crimes are. 95% of the murderers are minorities. That's how he felt philosophically 5 years ago. And here's a little clip for those of you thinking about, ditching Joe Biden for Mike Bloomberg. Here's a little clip that Mike Bloomberg weighed in on some of his thoughts on recognizing transgender folks. Take a look at this. This is what Bloomberg said.
Person identifies his or her gender as different than what's on their birth certificate. And they said, what do you mean? You're either born this or you're born that. I will say in our prison system in New York City, we have to have the policy when you walk in, drop your trousers, you go this way, you go that way. That's it, because you can't sit there and you can't mix things in a jail.
Well, that's what Mike Bloomberg had to say about transgenders. I mean, I know, the LGBTQIA is a very big cause for the Democrats. You know, we're flying the rainbow flag here on Liquid Lunch. But some time ago, he'll probably change real quick. But those were his thoughts on transgenderism and preferred pronouns and stuff. Basically, Mike Bloomberg said, whatever it says on your birth certificate, that's what you are. Or when you go to jail, you pull down your pants. If you're this, you go that way. If you're that, you go that way.
Look,
it's not confusing.
I'll be honest, with both that clip and the clip that you played earlier, not the part where Bloomberg used the term throw them up against the wall as if like some sort of Gestapo, but both of those clips actually endear Mike Bloomberg, I think, not only to me, but a lot of centrist and independent voters. Now, he's renounced his stop and frisk stance, but I think Trump supporters really ought to tread lightly about rooting for Mike Bloomberg to get this Democratic nomination. Because you know what? Mike Bloomberg, the fact that he is not uber politically correct, the fact that he does kind of shoot from the hip and, you know, say things that aren't always politically correct in this politically correct age of the 21st century, I think it's actually going to play well with purple voters. I can tell you in my own case, whenever Trump does something policy-wise that I don't agree with, you know, I get frustrated with him, and then I see him do something that's politically incorrect, and it's so incredibly refreshing. If you have a Trump versus Mayor Pete matchup, Mayor Pete is not going to, he's going to use the proper pronouns. He's going to call everybody them. He's going to hyphenate every American.
Frank, here's the thing that I'm saying. But you know, we know here in New York that he was a DIR. He was a Dem. He was an independent. He was a Republican, right? So he's a man of changing political winds, no matter how you slice it. To win the Democratic nomination, he's going to either have to go back on everything he's ever stood for, and then he's still going to have that whiff of moderate Democrat that you like, and the progressive left is never going to get behind him. And if the establishment keeps bumping out Bernie like they're clearly doing for him, then all the Bernie bros and all the Bernie gals and the Bernieites are going to be burned again, and they're not going to come out and vote for Mayor Mike. So, you know, I think I played those clips because I want to remind people when he starts coming out with all of his flip-flops what he was really saying back when he was trying to seem a little more moderate. But I don't always blow up presidential campaigns, but when I do, I drink Hooters spirits.
Very nice. Now, all the Democrats are going to be in New Hampshire tonight. They all have their election night New Hampshire watch parties, but there's one presidential candidate that beat them all to it yesterday. That was Donald Trump. He was in New Hampshire, held this big rally, drew quite a crowd apparently, and the crowd was very engaged. Take a watch at what Donald Trump said yesterday.
Hardworking, great Americans. These are unbelievable people who have not been treated fairly. Hillary called them deplorable. They're not deplorable.
So they were chanting, that was actually not the correct clip. That was my fault. That was the CPAC conference. But President Trump did lead a lock her up chant or participate in a lock her up chant about Nancy Pelosi. So the chant broke out as Trump complained about Pelosi.
Let's ring the bell on that one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that one, to be honest with you. You know, everyone on the Republican side has been investigated up the wazoo. Everyone. We had former Attorney General Barr on a little earlier, the other Attorney General Barr, and he said that Andrew McCabe is not being prosecuted, Strzok is not being prosecuted, Comey's not being prosecuted. These people are not being prosecuted because they only prosecute people they don't like, Frankie. And you know, I can't think of anyone who does like Nancy Pelosi. But I guess, you know, the deep state and those
Well, we
guys
shouldn't be putting people in prison because we don't like them. We should be putting people in prison because they commit crimes.
I'm with you.
Ideally,
I'm with you. Yeah.
Ideally, we should put people in prison.
I think a crime was committed.
Who are a danger to those around them.
And I think a crime was committed against the American taxpayer when they created a fake impeachment and spent millions and millions of dollars. Plus, we had opportunity cost of millions and millions of dollars for all the legislation we didn't pass while we were clogging up our whole congressional system with this. So, yeah, I think, you know, there was misappropriation of U.S. taxpayer funds in a fake, fraudulent hoax of an impeachment, and maybe Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff should be investigated for that. What do you think? You don't like it?
I think we're out of time.
Oh, okay. Take a quick break. Come back with more Liquid Lunch when Frank corrects all my mistakes right after this.